Murder mysteries. You know there are rules for murder mysteries? There must be a victim, a suspect, a detective, and a killer. Let me tell you a story. Grant McAllister, a professor of mathematics, once sat down and worked out all the murder mystery story rules and permutations. And he wrote 7 perfect detective stories to demonstrate them. 7 fiendish murder mysteries that each reflects a different permutation of the rules. He published them together in a book called The White Murders, along with his treatise on the rules. But that was 30 years ago. Now, Grant lives in seclusion on a remote Mediterranean island until an ambitious book editor named Julia Hart knocks on his door. Julia wishes to republish his book, and together they revisit each of those 7 stories. This is only part of the narrative detailed in The Eighth Detective, a novel published in August of 2020 by author Alex Pavesi. In The Eighth Detective, all 7 short story murder mysteries are told, but after each story, Grant and Julia discuss them. And we discover that Julia is an unusually astute detective as well as a sharp-eyed editor. She starts to pick up subtle narrative inconsistencies in the stories. Mixed up words, chronological anomalies, out-of-place details. Creepiness sets in. No one is who he or she seems. Why is Grant so vague about his past? What does Julia really want? I don't think I've ever read a book structured in this way before. I was absorbed in each short story like I was reading a full murder mystery book, and then fascinated at the analysis of each short story by Julia and Grant in the next chapter. The inconsistencies in the murder mystery stories were such a fantastic part of this book that after Julia noted the first set of inconsistencies, I started reading much more carefully, trying to spot them in the subsequent stories. And at some point, I began thinking there was an even bigger mystery at play here. Something about Grant and Julia themselves. How do these 7 murder mysteries and Grant and Julia tie together? This book has been called a love letter to classic detective stories, with a modern twist, where nothing is as it seems, and proof that the best mystery stories break all the rules. Alex Pavesi, the author, lives in London, where he writes full-time. He previously worked as a software engineer for Microsoft and has a PhD in mathematics. He says he enjoys puzzles, long walks, and recreational lock-picking. The Eighth Detective is his first book. Broward County Library System can lend you this publication in hardback, ebook, and e-audiobook. I would recommend you get it. You will get hooked, like I did. My name is Mike, and I'm a library specialist in the Broward County Library System.